Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for joining me today. So today I'm going to be talking about the really hard lessons I've learned about teaching virtually in the online environment. So if you're interested to hear some of the really hard lessons I've learned from teaching online, then please keep on watching. Okay, so recently I recorded a few of my lessons that I taught to my students. And it's, I know, really cringy to watch yourself. It was so difficult, but I really do think it's wonderful feedback for yourself. And it's a great way for you to be able to reflect on some of the practices or your communication skills. And I found that I was doing a few things that I'm really going to make a conscious effort not to anymore. And so I have 5 tips, 5 lessons that I've learned from watching myself and cringing. And the first one begins with silence is golden. So I found that I would give my students some instructions. For example, maybe it would be like a visible thinking routine. And then I would start speaking straight away over while they were trying to actually complete the routine. And so not only does that create a lot of noise and distraction when you're trying to think, but students then couldn't really concentrate on the actual prompt that I was giving them. So what I'm going to do from the future, I think, is just put myself on mute to stop myself talking. So I'm going to give my students some instructions, a reflection perhaps, or a visible thinking routine. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to put myself on mute to give you the space and time to think about your response. And I just think that that is at least going to help them concentrate a little bit better. And they just don't hear my constant voice over what they're trying to do in terms of the instructions I've given them. So, number one lesson I've learned, silence is actually golden in the virtual environment. Even though it feels very awkward, just embrace that silence. Okay, my second lesson I learned from watching myself was to not speak too quickly. So in the online environment, it's so important that we actually articulate each word carefully and properly. I don't have the transcript tool on my Zoom account. And so students have to really listen to what I'm saying. And I've watched so many different webinars where the speaker is talking so quickly that, I miss a point and then I miss the next 10 points because I just can't keep up. So one of my big idols is Michelle Obama. Whose idol is she not? And I've watched and analyzed a lot of her speeches and how she communicates and even the interview she gives. And she never speaks really quickly. She actually speaks with intention, and each word is carefully intonated so that people listening can actually understand her message. And do you know what else she does that I've noticed? She uses that power of three. So if she wants to get a really important point across, she'll actually repeat it 3 times. She'll either repeat the same thing 3 times or she'll repeat the point in 3 different contexts. Now, let me try and think of an example to give you. So I gave a talk recently and I was talking about how sometimes we can block creativity in our students when they're learning mathematics. And I said one of the causes of blocking creativity is when teachers adopt too much direct or explicit instruction. So I said when teachers overuse explicit or direct instruction, it blocks creativity, it blocks the student's ability to be curious, and it blocks learning. So notice how I use the word block 3 times. So I've noticed that Michelle does that too. She uses the power of 3. So that second tip was speak slowly and try to emphasize important points by using the power of 3. Okay, my next lesson that I learned, and you can probably see evidence of this in my earlier YouTube videos, is not to use the computer microphone because the computer is quite far away from you, right? And so every time I use the computer microphone, there's this massive echoey sound and it can be quite piercing on the ears. So I suggest that you either just put some earbuds in, or, if you have a mic, great. You don't have to buy a separate mic, but just don't use your computer mic. Okay. My number four lesson that I learned from watching myself was not to keep saying the word And I know it's really normal and natural for us to say um, 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 it's really distracting. So I was watching myself, and there was one talk where I said probably 10 times. And it really breaks up the flow of your message and your communication. So record yourself and see if you say the word and consciously think about trying to reduce the usage of num. See, I just used it again. And my last tip, and I hope that this came across in my lessons to my students, always show enthusiasm. Like, I actually am very lucky that I get to talk about things that I'm passionate about. So I'm passionate about mathematics learning. I'm passionate about ed tech tools. I'm passionate about teaching for deep conceptual understanding. So I'm hoping that my natural enthusiasm just comes out from that. But I've watched webinars where the person is talking in a really monotone voice and they're not enthusiastic. You can tell that they're not really passionate about their subject. I think it's really important for our students to see that we're really passionate about what we're trying to help our students understand, and we're passionate about student learning. So they are my 5 lessons that I've learned. I've learned through the hard way by watching videos of myself and cringing, but this is going to be my area of development and the goals that I'm setting. I hope that what I've said is useful to you. Please put a comment in the section below if you've got some other ideas on how we can actually communicate to our students in a virtual online environment and how we can make learning really effective for them. Thank you so much again, and hope to see you next time.